amazing prizes every month on Aloore Radio. How to participate? Follow us on our Facebook page on Aloore Radio. Share our program links on all your social media platforms. The person with the highest shared links win our amazing monthly prizes. Share, listen to Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.
Adio.
Baba, ẹ kú kalẹ̀.
Wá wo nǹkan. Òní bí àtòkèrè ló là káyè tí wọ́n wo sàkún nǹkan. Ṣáájú káwọn kan tó mọ fóúnjẹ láwa lójú. Níjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ti káwọn ọ̀dọ́ kan jọ sílùú Awẹ́ láti máa kọ́ nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ lọ́nà tìgbàlódé lábẹ́ àmójútó àjọ IITA.
Mo rí bẹ́ẹ̀ bàbá. Ṣẹ́yìn ọ̀gbọ́n tí náà ń gbòòrò ni. Wọ́n ní ìṣèjọba tí ń bẹ lóde báyìí. Audio government ni wọ́n ń pè.
Èwo lẹ̀ ń pè báwọn.
Ìjọba tí ń fẹnu yàrá sọ́bẹ̀.
Àdìó. Mi bí mo ti wí fún wọn pé kó yé mọ́ pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ̀já wúrà. Ṣé nǹkan tá a fojú rí ni àbí tó farasin? Ọ̀nà mọ́níyà àjàyè títí tó fi dé sẹ́yìn. Iṣẹ́ ti fẹ́ parí ń bẹ̀. Ọ̀nà olóko mẹ́rin tó yọ kùlùlù láàrin ìlú Ṣakí, Ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ títí tó fi dé Gbòho tí ò ti ṣe é rìn mọ́ látọjọ́ tó ti pẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ọ̀ndàjì l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́. Iṣẹ́ sì ń lọ lọ́wọ́ báyìí lórí ètò ìlera tó múnádóko jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì làwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àtòṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ò láláṣẹ mọ́ kí wọ́n tó rẹ́tọ̀ wọn gbà.
Bàbá gbogbo ń tẹ́ ẹ sọ yóò tọ́ ni kò sí rọ́ńbẹ́. Àmọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ yìí lọ́wọ́ọ́rọ́ pọ̀ kò jónú. Ẹ sì mọ̀ pé eégún tó bá rorò làwọn á kó bí ìbọn lẹ̀.
Àdìó àti gbọ́njú bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́nkùnlé Ọ̀yọ́. Eégún tó bá ṣoore fún wa báyìí làwọn kó bí ìbọn.
Ẹ kú àgbà bàbá.
Kò ní í dalẹ̀ ìmọ̀ tú ìmọ̀ jọ ìmọ̀ ẹni ní kò ní í dalẹ̀.
Ilé-iṣẹ́ ètò ìròyìn àṣà ohun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
It's a beautiful day. You're welcome to today's program on Tuesday, 26th of July 2022. I am Olukemi Omotosho. You're welcome to Newspaper Review on your darling station, Aloore Radio. We are transmitting from the GSM studio at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, Secretariat Agodi, Ibadan. I have with me the Nation newspaper and the Nigerian Tribune. And the first story I'm going to take is from the Nation. The Nation newspaper says, panic in Abuja over attack on soldiers by terrorists, with a couple of riders, 3 presidential guards wounded. FCT directs schools to close tomorrow. No cause for alarm, says police. That can be found on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And on politics, Tinubu presidential project for launch August 13th. That can be found on page 3. And this is a very, very wonderful one. It says 25-year-old Amusan wins gold for Nigeria. That can be found on page 31 of the Nation newspaper. And JAMB fixes August 6th for mop-up examination. No North governors took money to back Southern president. That can be found on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Still on the Nation newspaper, I have varsity strike. 3 days industrial action begins after nationwide protest, says Labour. And train attack. Families march on transportation ministry. It can be found on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And I have another one that says, we never represented Khan at Shetima's presentation, says bishops. That can be found on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And I have another one that says, bill is FRSC acting call marshal. That can be found on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Budget IT to federal government. Stop indiscriminate borrowings. That, and a writer says 36 governors meet finance minister, World Bank, others. That can be found on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And police recover 689 rustled animals in Gombe. And 21 persons drowned in Yobe flood. Wildfire destroys shops, buildings in Aloore, Onitsha. The 3 stories can be found on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Going right to the Nigerian Tribune, I have the same story on how Ijebu-Ode born Amusan became world record holder. With a rider, Buhari governors, others celebrate her. That can be found on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. I have this banner story, that the headline that says terrorists cause panic in Abuja, injured three guards brigade soldiers, federal government shot schools. That can be found on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune, with the rider that says terrorist ambush guard brigade in Abuja, signals in law school as possible targets. Federal government shot Unity schools, evacuate students as bandits attack community near schools. Families lay siege to Ministry of Transport. Protests continue. Confinement of Abuja Kaduna kidnap victims, and 4 more victims released. Family confirmed payment of 100 million naira. That can be found on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And Finance Minister says governors meet to deliberate on economic today. That can be found on page 28 with the rider World Bank representatives expected. And still on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune, Lagos APC peace meeting disrupted, rescheduled. And on labor, we have NLC begins pro-ASU protest today. That can be found on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. Presidency has admitted Buhari's failure, PDP. That can be found on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune, with a rider says 18,000 killed between 2020 and 2022, calls for urgent cancel of state meeting on security. That can be found, as I said, on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Police killed as gunmen attacked police station in Ondo. That can be found on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. I have this picture that says families of the abducted Kaduna Abuja train passengers blocking the entrance of the Ministry of Transportation in Abuja on Monday to demand the release of their relatives in captivities. The pictures is showing the family sitting down, carrying placards and crying for the release of their family members. With that, we'll go on a short break to be back for the details of the newspaper. Thanks for listening.
Ọlọ́run jẹ̀dá lọ. Tábàárẹ̀ ni tá a kórira. Táwa fẹjọ́ ẹ̀sùn Ọlọ́run wípé kó má dépò. Tọ́lọ́run wa gbégbé ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ dépò tán. Èèyàn gbà fọlọ́ ni o. Kí ló dé? Ẹni tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọ̀tá ọ̀lẹ. Abiyamọ ọ̀tá àgàn. Wọ́n ní pàkútì ọ̀tá ẹni èkó lọ ya. Ká mẹ́yìn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ọ̀tún mẹ́yìn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ òsì. Ká fẹ́yìn ní délùú sẹ́yìn ẹni tí ò ní yin ni ò ní yin ni. Ẹ pé gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ò ṣe nǹkankan kò ṣe nǹkankan. Pẹ̀lú àfojúsùn ó mẹ́rẹ̀ ẹni tó gbé lọ́wọ́ tó ló ń sìn fún ṣe lọ. Akitiyan Ṣèyí Mákindé lójú ọ̀nà ètò ẹ̀kọ́. Ó ṣe káńsù ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́ta tó bí ń san lórí ọmọ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Ó ṣe ẹ̀kọ́ dọ̀fẹ́. Ó pínwé ó tún yàrá ìkàwé ṣe. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ló falẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ gíga LAUTECH padà di tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Ètò ìlera ń kọ́. Àtúnṣe pẹ̀lú gbígbé sóhun èlò òfúlé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé. Ẹ̀wọ̀n laboratory tó wà nílé ìwòsàn ní Ọ̀yọ́. Àwọn ọkọ̀ ambulance gbogbo wọ̀nyí kọ́. Ìgbìyànjú Ṣèyí Mákindé lórí kétò ààbò lè mú náà nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ kọ́. Ó pèsè ọkọ̀ fáwọn agbófinró kí wọ́n máa fi yíde patrol ní tìkútòrò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Operation Boss tó kó fún wọn láyé tẹ̀. Ìwéré ilé àtàkùn ààrẹ. CCTV camera lójú pópó l'Íbàdàn. Commissioning of Mobile Squadron Units lágọ̀ ààrẹ. Tó wá dà bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ máa gbéṣẹ́ yóò ṣe nǹkankan. Nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ wa ìtẹ́tọ̀ òmìnir náà wọ ìjọba gbà. Ó ṣàgbékalẹ̀ farm estate Akúfò. Èrú àti awẹ́ lábẹ́ òsádà. Ó tún fẹ́ gbẹ̀rún lọ́nà ogún àgbẹ̀ léso kí wọ́n gbè lóko wọn. Ó mójútó ìdókòwò tó lè máa pawó wọlé fún wa nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Asphalt àti quarry plant níjàyè. Gbogbo ẹni tó ń ṣe sí ọ̀fọ̀ ilẹ̀ rẹ̀ báyìí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ní kíákíá ìrọ̀rùn ló ń bá dé o. Ẹgbẹ́ gbẹ̀lẹ́gbẹ̀ owó tó gbé kalẹ̀ fún dènà COVID-19 nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Bó ṣe ń faná ló ń ṣọ̀nà ló ń ṣomi. Owó oṣù àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ yàmọ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn òṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ń gbẹ̀tọ̀ wọn déédéé. A ní ẹ̀rìn gbòòrò kẹ́rì ṣẹ́ṣẹ́ Ṣèyí Mákindé ń ṣe ẹlẹ́ràáyè. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Ṣé wàá rí báyìí kọ́ lọ́wọ́ kọ̀ tẹ̀nu? Ẹ kíyè sáwọn tẹ̀m̀bẹ̀lẹ̀kọ ẹ̀dá tí wọn kì í ráṣẹ yọrí ẹlòmíì. Ẹ jẹ́ gbàrúkú tí ẹnjìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé kó kẹsẹ̀ járí. Lójú pọ̀nà àfojúsùn kó mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin tó gbé lọ́wọ́ yìí. Ẹ̀yin ará bí ẹ fọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀.
Ẹ ò gbọ́dọ̀ o, fàjà mi àgbẹ̀ máa dùn.
ìkéde ìwà láti iléeṣẹ́ ìròyìn àṣà àtìrìnàjò afẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
You're welcome back to the details of the newspaper review. You can follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio. On YouTube, it is at Aloore Radio. Our website is www.alooreradio.com. And on mobile app, you can download on Play Store, Aloore Radio. Our studio line is 09039 853731. 09039 853731. For your adverts, for concerns and complaints, you can call on us. The story I'm going to take is from the Nation newspaper, and it says, "Panic in Abuja over attack on soldiers by terrorists. 3 presidential guards wounded. FCT directs schools to close tomorrow. No cause for alarm, says police." Residents of Abuja were yesterday thrown into panic after some suspected terrorists injured 3 soldiers attached to the guards brigade at the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. The troops were on routine patrol on Kubwaba-Buawari Road. The attack came barely 24 hours after the terrorists that claimed responsibilities for the March 28 attack on passengers aboard a Kaduna-bound train threatened to abduct President Muhammadu Buhari and Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. 43 of the 63 passengers taken in the custody by the insurgents are still being held in the forest by their abductors, who have issued a fresh threat to kill some and sell off others. But Saturday, the negotiator who recently facilitated the release of 11 victims, Malam Tuko Mamu, announced the release of 4 more hostages. Tuko said he did not know if the relatives paid ransom to the insurgents, gave the names of the 3 hostages as Gladys Brumen, Oluwatoyin Ojo, Azan, Azan, and for the rest of that story, you can turn to the front page and page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Tension in Abuja over attack on troops by terrorists. And another story is still taken from the front page of the Nation newspaper. I have train attack, families march on transportation ministry. Families of the 43 kidnapped passengers at the attacked Kaduna-bound train yesterday grounded activities at the Federal Ministry of Transportation in Abuja. They arrived at the ministry before 8 a.m., blocked the entrance gate, and prevented the Transportation Minister Muazu Sambo, the Permanent Secretary Mandalin Ajan, and other officials from entering the premises. The 43 passengers were among the 63 passengers taken into captivity by terrorists who attacked the train on March 28. The terrorists freed 20 after collecting ransom. On Monday, the terrorists released a video which showed them flogging the male captives and threatening to abduct President Muhammadu Buhari, Kano State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and top Nigerians, including senators. Shortly after the threat, the presidency issued a statement condemning the viral video and enjoined the public and the media to be wary of terror propaganda. For the rest of that story, you can turn to the front page of the Nation newspaper and continue on page 4 of the same newspaper. Train attack, family marches on transportation ministry. And still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, I have varsity strike, 3-day industrial action begins after nationwide protest, says Labour. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, is pressing ahead with nationwide protests in solidarity with university unions to force the federal government to meet their demands. It insists that the protest would hold in state today as planned. NLC President Ayuba Waba said the Congress would commence a 3-day warning strike immediately after the protest. According to him, an indefinite workers' strike may follow should the government fail to resolve the issues that caused the strike. Waba spoke on the sidelines of the ongoing 18th NLC Rain School 2022 in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. He said, and I quote, "The protest happening tomorrow, that is today, is not a solidarity protest, but a protest of NLC against government actions that led to our universities being shut down and our kids staying at home instead of going to school. All the union directly involved in the strike are under NLC." For the rest of that story, you can turn to the front page of the Nation newspaper and continue from page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Varsity strike, 3-day industrial action begins after nationwide protest, says Labour. And still on the Nation newspaper, from page 2 I have policemen killed in Akure station attack. A police inspector, Tenemo Boluwaji, was killed yesterday as gunmen attacked the Okuta Elerinla Police Division in Akure, the Ondo State capital. The attack took place at about 1 a.m. after the assailants breached the facility's fence. It was learned. The source said that the gunmen probably wanted to steal weapons from the armory, adding that 2 policemen on duty exchanged gunfire with the assailants before it was hit. One of the 2 policemen quickly relocated detained suspects, especially women, to another area of the station. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Police killed in Akure station attack. And still on policemen, I have policemen refund 50,000 stolen from Lagos motorists. A young man identified as Oluwatosin has taken recounts how some rogue policemen attached to Abattoir Division in Agege, Lagos, assaulted and robbed him of over 50,000 naira for asking why they wanted to see his mobile phone. Oluwatosin said the action of the policemen was the greatest height of shamelessness. According to him, the policemen who were in plain clothes and armed stopped him around 1 p.m. on Sunday while he was heading to Abule Egba for his daily business. He said they were in front of the Abattoir police station when they spotted him and they searched his car but found nothing incriminating. Then they insisted they wanted his particulars, which he showed. Then they forcefully wanted to collect my phone. I refused and insisted that I won't let them have it, that I know the law and it says no police should ask for any citizen's phone, only in rare cases, and that's after several investigations have been made. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Policemen refund 50,000 stolen from Lagos motorists. And I have fire destroys shops, buildings in Aloore, Onitsha. An early morning fire yesterday destroyed no fewer than 11 shops in Alanumu Market in Aloore West local government area of Kwara State. The incident, said to have been caused by power surge, occurred around 5 a.m. Spokesman of the State Fire Service, Azan Adekunle, confirmed the incident, putting the worth of the goods destroyed at 9.6 million naira. Mr. Adekunle added that there was no one in the market, not even the security guards, to notice the fire outbreak. A bike man passing by was the only one who saw the raging inferno and quickly informed the State Fire Service, he said. However, firemen did everything possible to stop the spread of the fire to the other shops and subsequently extinguished the fire. Out of the 86 shops in the market arena, 11 shops were affected. The estimated property saved was 65.5 million naira, and the estimated property loss was 9.6 million naira, it said. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Fire destroyed shops, buildings in Aloore, Onitsha. And I have this on UTME. It says, JAMB fixes August 6 for mop-up exams. Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, had fixed Saturday, August 6, 2022, for the mop-up Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, for candidates who could not participate in the examination during the period of the exercise for some verified reasons. The board said it took the decision to give equal opportunity to all candidates who desired to acquire tertiary education. JAMB said this in its weekly bulletin released by its head of media and information, Dr. Fabien Benjamin, yesterday in Abuja. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 3 of the Nation newspaper. UTME, JAMB fixes August 6 for mop-up examination. And on politics, Tinubu 2023 presidential project for launch August 13th. The Southeast zone of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, is set to inaugurate the Asiwaju Bola Tinubu 2023 presidential project on August 13th. The event will be chaired by the party's governorship candidate in the November 6, 2021 election in Anambra, Senator Andy Uba. It will also have Ebonyi and Imo State governors Dave Umahi and Hope Uzodinma as special guests of honor. The launch, according to the Anambra State coordinator of the project, Iro Emmanuel, and the publicity secretary, Anyejeji Afam, it says that the coordinator of the Southeast Zone Chairman, Asiwaju Grassroots Foundation, AGF Project Beyond, Mr. Marcelo Anyigo, already different committee have been set up to ensure the success of the launch. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Tinubu 2023 presidential project for launch August 13th. And on page 5 of the Nation newspaper, I have no North governor took money to back Southern president, says Sule. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule yesterday shed light on why the All Progressive Congress APC governors in the north opposed power retention in the region after the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. He also clarified that no governor from the north took money to back a southern presidential candidate. Sule spoke in Lafia, the state capital, during a meeting with all his political appointees at the government house. He explained that some northern APC governors stood up against earlier moves to produce a northerner as presidential candidate after they sought the opinion of the party leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, who said he was only interested in a democratic process that will proceed an acceptable candidate. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 5 of the Nation newspaper. No North governor took money to back Southern president, says Sule. And from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, how Ijebu-Ode-born Amusan became world record holder. Buhari, governors, others celebrate her. Toby Amusan on Sunday broke the 100-meter hurdles world record with a stunning semi-final time of 12.12 seconds before taking gold at the World Athletics Championships in Eugene, Oregon in US. The Nigerian 25 from Ijebu-Ode ran even faster in the final, but at 12.06 was ruled ineligible by an illegal tailwind. The previous record of 12.20 was set in 2016 by American Kendra Harrison. For the rest of that story, you can turn to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. How Ijebu-Ode-born Amusan became world record holder. And I have another story from page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. It says TUC berated federal government over failure to fix Nigerians' electricity challenge. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has berated the federal government over its inability to fix the country's electricity generation problems and the huge economic hardship it is causing Nigerians. TUC said this in an address by its immediate past president, Comrade Quadri Olaleye, at the just concluded 12th Terrenal National Delegate Conference held in Abuja. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. TUC berates federal government over failure to fix Nigeria's electricity challenge. And ASU, SANU, NASU strike, NLC to commence 3-day warning strike after nationwide protest. The leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has reiterated their readiness to gather its members across Nigeria for a nationwide protest in all the 36 states of the Federation and Abuja in demand for the federal government to resolve all the lingering issues that have kept the tertiary education closed. The Labour Centre also stated that it will commence a 3-day warning strike immediately after today's protest and may have to go on indefinite strike if the government fails to resolve the issues that caused the strike and have schools open for Nigerian students. The president, NLC President Comrade Ayuba Waba, said this when he responded to questions from journalists on the sidelines of the ongoing 18th NLC Rain School 2022 held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, which was tagged Labour, Politics for National Development and Social Justice in Nigeria. For the rest of that story, you can turn to page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. ASU, SANU, NASU strike, NLC to commence 3-day warning strike after nationwide protests. And with that, we have come to the end of today's newspaper review on Aloore Radio, which is transmitting from GSM studio at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, Secretariat, Agodi, Ibadan. I am Olukemi Omotosho. We thank you for listening and stay tuned.
lóòótọ́ àlùkà wà ní ẹrù olódùmarè ni ló fi jẹ́ pé àlùkà wà ní téèyàn bá ṣe lórí òdodo olódùmarè tó lẹ́rù náà ní bá ní gbé àgbẹ́kẹ̀lé ìṣèjọba omi tuntun tí ń bẹ nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ èyí tí gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ń darí nìyí ló fi jẹ́ ọgbà tí ìṣèjọba yìí ti gorí àlééfà ló ti gbé ìlànà ìṣèjọba olóko mẹ́rin kalẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ ìwòsàn ọ̀fẹ́ ìgbélárugẹ ọrọ̀ ajé ohun ààbò tó gbópọn lára àṣeyọrí ìlànà yìí ní gbígba iléèwé gíga yunifásitì LAUTECH fúnpìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ owó ìrànwọ́ fáwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ mọ̀ọ́fin àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbàwé ọ̀fẹ́ ó sì tún gbòlùkọ́ síṣẹ́ ìwòsàn ọ̀fẹ́ ní tìbútòrò òpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ nípa kíkọ́ ilé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé sí wọ́ọ̀dù tó dín ní 300 níye àtúnṣe àwọn ilé ìwòsàn tó ti wà tẹ́lẹ̀ òun ilé ìwòsàn alágbèéká kọ́rọ̀ ajé ìpínlẹ̀ wa lè mú gọ́gọ́ sí a ṣàtúnṣe àwọn ọ̀nà tó ti wà tẹ́lẹ̀ a sì tún la tuntun Ìsẹ́yìn sọ́yọ́ Ìsẹ́yìn sógbómọ̀ṣọ́ Ìsẹ́yìn sókè o Ṣakí sọ́gbọ̀rọ̀ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ìgbélárugẹ iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ òun ní ojú pópó tó mọ́lẹ̀ rókoṣo ẹ̀tọ́ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àtòṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ò sì tẹ̀tì ààbò sì dúró ore nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ báwọn ọdẹ onípàkúté ò tiẹ̀ sinmi pàkúté wọn ń dìdẹ Olódùmarè tó lẹ́rù ń bá ìṣàkóso ìgbẹ́rù rẹ̀ gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé wá ń dúpẹ́ fún àtìlẹ́yìn gbogbo wa nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ lágbára Olódùmarè ibi ire lòkè yìí ń gbé wa rè.